What's poppin'? What's poppin', Outrage crew? We back, baby. Had to take a little hiatus for a couple days, go out there and make some of that sweet, sweet rent money. Oh, so crucial out here in Hollywood. We've got to make our rent sometime. Well, I guess crucial anywhere, but it's a tight squeeze out here. Back in Oklahoma, there wasn't a whole lot of income inequality. It was pretty much everybody was kind of just doing okay. Rent's only $350 a month. I can be a full-time meth addict and I got no problems. Well, no problems paying that rent. It's so doable. What's happening, party peoples? Party peoples. We're here celebrating the dead dick of the deep state. They cannot penetrate Donald Trump's defenses. All right.
The dead dick of the deep state. Say that again fast.
What up, Zuckerberg? What's crack-a-lackin'? Oh, we're here to celebrate Robert Mueller's ineptitude, his his impotence. After looking through so many pictures of all the chicks that Donald Trump has fucked, you can only look through those so many times before you got to shut the investigation down. He just keeps unearthing new bombshell beauties that Donald Trump has laid with in his bed. And he cannot stand it anymore, ladies and gentlemen. He's tired of unearthing porn stars and supermodels and, whether they're Russian or not, all right? He's tired of it. He can't stand it anymore. His his balls have been thoroughly drained, and, he's an empty husk of a man left. What's up, Proxnoid? Yeah, dude, he couldn't stand it any longer. Although he'll have a spank bank to last a lifetime, I think, after this whole 2-year Russia investigation. That's the $25 million the taxpayers have spent. We've spent to, stimulate Robert Mueller's fantasies by investigating all the women that Donald Trump, had some relations with and or paid off there. So very fruitful investigation. Oh, all the things we've learned. Oh, man, the deep state strikes out again, dude. They're supposed to be, I think this whole first term that Trump has had has been about battling back against the media and the deep state. I mean, he had to get through this. He had to get through them trying to, use the 25th Amendment to try to get him out of there, trying to use this fake Russia investigation to try to delegitimize him and have an excuse for why the left lost, and try to save some face with their base there.
Ew.
And ew.
I don't know.
Political base. Don't make everything sexual over there.
Ooh.
Jelly bean, sexual jelly bean.
Sexual healing.
But so this whole first term has been about Donald Trump, simultaneously trying to resuscitate the economy, keep it from totally collapsing, and then evading all of the arrows that are being slung his way by the mainstream media and by the deep state manipulator betas there. He's had to sidestep, Peter Strzok and his little side piece twist there, texting back and forth. We'll get him. I'm going to take him down.
Ew. Get him, honey, get him. Make that energy.
What up, John Doe? Do I really think that the left really hates the fact that President Trump won? Well, what do you think about what I think about what I think?
Oh my God.
I mean, have you taken a look at a headline in the past 3 years or so? I think they hate it. I think that's their main defining characteristic, is that they hate that Trump is president. They don't seem to have any solid party platform that unifies them other than we hate that guy. That seems to be the number one go-to rah-rah chant of the mindless left there. Seems to be the only brain cells they have left are dedicated toward hating that one man.
They're still losing.
And that's why they're losing, is because they don't have any ideas of their own. They don't have any vision. They don't have any mission for the country. It's all about tearing down Western civilization and this like fantasy land patriarchy they have in their head. And you know, tearing down white privilege and like dismantling everything that's created such success and wealth and freedom in the modern Western world there, because they hate success and they're resentful, and a lot of them can't get laid. So, you know, it's troublesome there, and there's a lot of steaming, boiling resentment happening, and we understand here at Outrage TV, and we're here to help. All right, I'm going to teach these leftists that it's okay. You can find a mate out there. There's somebody for you. There's somebody just dorky enough to take that leap with you, you know. And we here at Outrage TV, we want to extend olive branches out to the left, that you too can get laid. You can make money. You can be successful. You don't have to hate Donald Trump. You can bang porn stars too, all right? It's something to reach for. All right, John Doe, what do I think of nationalism? Yeah, that's what's up, Icy Delight. I see you out there. What do I think of nationalism? Well, fundamentally, I'm into freedom and not the coercion of taxation, so I don't necessarily support the existence of a national state or federal government. I think it's an illegitimate institution, but the way we have it set up now, America has a set of principles that it supposedly governs by, which are comparatively a lot better principles than other countries are supposed to be ruled by. So we generally, you know, have a few things working in our favor. We have a constitution. We have, you know, a pseudo, you know, electoral process. We have the internet, the ability to, you know, exchange information like we're doing right now. And we still have a generally, you know, high IQ, freedom interested society. Now that is, you know, that's slowly deteriorating with the nice little influx of third world immigration there. What's good, Tizzle? That's slowly deteriorating, unfortunately, but, you know, that's why we're here, okay, to spread the word, okay, as, you know, kind of the Paul Revere here of facts, reason, truth, logic, and evidence. That's what we're shooting for, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to spread the good word out there, that it may not necessarily be in America's interest to keep taking in these illegal immigrants and keep making excuses for them as they come in masse and get on welfare and suck off the teat. Oh, Dizzle, I remember, yeah, man, you had that trouble at your work with the little, you know, perceived discrimination there. I remember. Did you fuck that guy's mom yet, or what?
Wow.
Wasn't that the plan we concluded with? John Doe says, do you believe in the sovereignty of a nation? I believe in the sovereignty of the individual. And a nation is, you know, a concept that's based on a giant group of individuals in one geographic location. So sovereignty of a nation, I think, you know, I think they should be free from influence, especially from larger governing bodies like the UN or the EU. That's why Brexit is so ridiculous right now, that they voted to leave the EU and they can't even get it done. Their own politicians are so deeply entrenched in that bureaucratic system that they just, you know, put their roots down and they can't be unearthed. Because that's when you let bureaucracy build up and layer up on top of each other, it's like it creates this network of corruption that is so, like a vote is like, they're like, really? We have to do that? I don't think the British people really know what they want. I don't think we know what they want, and we shall decide it. So it's, you know, national sovereignty. I think the people should have as much control over their government as possible until we can make it smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually eradicate it, like the evil leech it is on the neck of the American public. There. So it's all about getting the government smaller. I'm not much one for national identity. Am I proud to be white? I'm not much for racial identity either. I don't take pride in anything that I didn't earn personally or achieve personally as an individual. So I didn't earn this lack of melanin. So I don't take pride in my skin. I don't have shame in my skin, and that goes for my ancestors, my German and my Dutch ancestors back there. I have no shame for the pillaging of the Vikings. I have no shame for mean Mr. Mustache there in Germany. He did what he did. We're doing things different here. Arguments, not genocide. That's, it's a good policy. All right. Little friendly argumentation, little confrontation verbally. We don't have to bring out the gas chambers. Nobody needs that. Okay? Nobody needs it. John Doe says, so I'm not proud of being who I am. Being white isn't who I am. That's the whole thing. I don't identify with the group called white, because the group called white is troublesome to begin with. There's so many different types of white. There's German, there's Irish, there's Dutch, there's Norwegian, there's Swedish. There's all different types of white. There's Italian. It's all different. Like, to group them all together into one category called white is generally, I think, a tactic of the left in order to, ubiquitously attack the majority of the country and shame them for being privileged. And they just also, happen to be, if you group them into that category, they also happen to be the majority of taxpayers, which have to be demonized in order to justify taking all of that money and distributing it therein. What's up, cheap Jewish man? That's not, that's a pretty bold stereotype of a name. I like that. You're right up front with it, and I guess you're into haggling. And I respect that. All right, that's high IQ behavior, and you should not be shamed for it. All right, I myself am a pretty terrible haggler, pretty bad with money, and so that's why I'm out here in Hollywood trying to surround myself with Jews to help me. Okay, I want to be surrounded in a bubble wrap of Judaism out here in Hollywood. I need a manager, I need an agent, I need an entertainment lawyer, I need an accountant. All right, and my wild German, Dutch impulses are all about dragon energy and coming on the internet and talking shit. And I'd like to have a nice Jewish, friend or two to help me with, the finer side of, fine tuning the logics and logistics of my situation. That would just be magnificent, wouldn't it? I mean, the unity of the dragon energy of the German and the craftiness of the Jew it's yin and yang. All right, there shouldn't be conflict there. All right, we should be working together. We should be doing cocaine. We should be coming up with business ideas. That's my thoughts on this, on the situation, sir. So glad to have you on the stream. What up, Not a Bear? What's good, AJ? Not a Bear says only good Jew denounces Judaism. There's some shady shit in Judaism. Yeah, definitely. They have separate moral systems for Jews and non-Jews. It does get a little weird if they're, super, fundamentalist about the text. Most Jews I know, they're pretty atheistic. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural practice, just like a lot of the Christians I know. They don't take the text that seriously, but there is a distinction to be made there. I see what you're saying. Because, especially with Islam too, I mean, the more fidelity you have to the Islamic texts, the more subsequently extremist you seem to become. So, yes, Goyim, John Doe. I am a filthy Goyim here, trying to build bridges, all right? And if anybody, would like to build some bridges with me, Nick Jordan, the Federal Outrage Chancellor here, I have set up a paypal.me link, paypal.me/Outrage TV. If you want to be kind, if you want to be generous, instead of super chats on YouTube, I haven't figured out how to access those. I don't know if there's a threshold issue, but paypal.me/Outrage TV. If you want to throw me some shekels, and I will read your comment 100% if you send me that. What up, Coin Crazy? Fascist Zionists in Israel, and that's a good thing. Not joking. Love, love, love. Leftist diaspora. Fascist Zionists in Israel, and that's a good thing. I don't know if fascism's a good thing, sir. Seems to be a big government authoritarian system there with a little bit of too much control over the capitalism. Why not just let people have their economic interactions, let them spend their money as they see fit? Don't be a manipulator, all right? Don't be a subverter. Don't be, a control freak weirdo, all right? We're into consent here at Outrage TV. We're into voluntary interactions. We're not much into rape, unlike Bernie Sanders and the socialist types who want to jack that rape through the roof and coerce you to pay for societal needs, okay? I'm into you supporting what you want to support. That's voluntarism. That's love, okay? We're into love making, not raping here at Outrage TV. What up, blah? Yeah, John Doe says fascists are the downfall of this society. Yeah, I mean, I make fun of Obama and call him a communist a lot, but he was almost more fascistic. I mean, Obamacare is definitely pretty communistic because it was kind of a directly federally run system. But a lot of the interaction with the banks, there's so much regulatory, like, incestual activity with the banks. It's not like the government is in there running the banks. The banks still have these independent CEOs to a certain extent, but there's certainly federal regulations that they're cooperating to get passed in their favor and cut out their competition. And so it's kind of a mutual relationship there with the government and the big banks and the big corporations. And so oh, John Doe, you just joking? Well, goddamn, you jokester. But yeah, Obama was, part fascist and part communist. He was just, he was a nice grab bag of slickster horseshit salesman. But he was cool. He was a cool black guy who filled out NCAA tournament brackets, so can't criticize that. I mean, drone casualties, who gives a fuck? Constant war, why not? Not natty ice, this is natural light. All right, we're, we don't have hangovers here at Outrage TV because we keep the extra low, all right? I just like some lightly carbonated water and some alcohol in there, dude. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if you're feeling generous, paypal.me /Outrage TV. I'll read anything you send me. And I'll probably have a fucking hot rant about it. Drinking that OE. Oh, shit. John Doe says Thomas Jefferson was against the Federal Reserve. I don't doubt it. That motherfucker had principles. He stuck to them, dude. Unlike today, where people just hear about the Federal Reserve and they're like, "Oh, are you anti-Semitic?" It's like, what? But people can't even be bothered with this shit because they're so bogged down in left versus right partisan politics. They don't, and people aren't taught economics in school. That's the number one thing. Like, people's political opinions are uninformed to the degree that they don't know economics. That's the biggest thing that I've investigated and tried to teach myself that has led to my understanding of how society actually functions and operates. Like, ethics combined with economics, like, gives you that perspective, because you start to realize that, oh, that's why hamburgers used to be 10 cents and now they're $10. Like, there's a real like fuckery to this. And then you look at the fall of the fall of Rome, and how they devalued their currency, and how that was one of the main contributing factors to the fall of Rome and the disintegration of that society, and how they were so spread out militarily. And then the whatever they were called, the barbarians, I think they're referred to in history, came across as the border and sacked Rome when they were at their weakest point. And so the debasing of currency has been, a long-running institution. And, once you get that federal bank set up, and especially if you can convince people that it's part of the government, but it's actually a private institution that's that's run by unelected people, usually in small hats, and they, come up with these weird theories that they can manipulate the money supply and change interest rates, and you get in there and tweak things around. We can figure it out. I mean, look at our little hats. I mean, we got it. I mean, 320 million people, we can figure out all their individual economic interactions. I mean, it's just clockwork, baby. All right. Clockwork. But it's nonsense. And, the money isn't based on anything tangible. It's not based on any finite resource that's valuable to anybody anymore. That's why I am a proponent of the Bitcoin there, as a safety measure. Because it has that deflationary quality to it. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin in existence, and unlike the Federal Reserve notes there, you don't have a bunch of Jews in some room somewhere deciding to type more money in the bank accounts. And it's troubling. It's troubling. And then, these major, wars of the 20th century would never have been able to be financed without that kind of, debt creation. And what the Federal Reserve does. That's why it's invaluable to the government to have that relationship with the Federal Reserve, and it's why they don't hold them accountable for any of the economic disasters that happen. There's never like a real serious audit of the Federal Reserve. They never go in there and really figure out what the fuck is going on. It's just like, let the Jews do their thing over there. I mean, super high IQ, and they told us they got it. All right, let's just let them work. Oh, it's it's troubling when you have that much power concentrated in that small amount of people, and that's the only way you can finance these big wars and finance these huge budgets that have to get passed every year, and fund this big giant squid monster of a government that is currently trying to suck the life out of the American public. Oh, the squid monsters. What are my thoughts on the New Zealand shooting? Let's see. On the New Zealand shooting, okay. So, super weird how, in the manifesto, he explicitly said that he wanted to create division and he knew it was going to lead to gun confiscation and whatnot. Explicitly said this in the manifesto, and then what happens? He's trying to create explicitly racial division and get the guns taken away and create this chaos that whips up society into some kind of conflict. Then, what does the media immediately do? Blame all white people and blame gun owners. And then New Zealand just bends right over and opens that asshole right up, and they just take the guns. And good possibility he's a psyop. would say so, Blah, just because of the rollout of it. It's you know, just it was almost marketed like, and they did exactly what the guy said. Like, I saw a meme on the Donald today. It was funny. It was like, so, you know, the New Zealand shooter said that he wanted to cause racial division and get the guns taken away, and then the media hypes racial division, and then New Zealand takes the guns away immediately. So terrorism works. Like, we just immediately, you know, capitulate to terrorism. Like, what a tremendous precedent to set. Oh, how lovely. But yeah, the rollout of it was super, you know, it looked planned and orchestrated. To the degree that that guy knew what he was orchestrating, it seemed like he was on one of those, you know, deep internet, you know, forums like 4chan and 8chan, and, you know, in one of these, you know, these groups that get to talking about this shit and talking about racial identity and all this shit and all this violent rhetoric. And he took it to a whole new level and actually decided to carry out this fucking troll in real life. That could be a thing. Like, he legitimately, all on his own. Or he could have, you know, been MK Ultra there or something. He could have been, you know, a CIA asset. He could have been, you know, because that's the perfect pretense they needed to take attention away from how retarded the media looks with the Covington Catholic thing and the Jussie Smollett thing, and like, oh, we need a confirmation that, you know, remember, white people are evil, and remember, guns are bad. You know, they need to hammer home those points, and it's like, and then he calls out Candace Owens and PewDiePie, which are two kind of like super prominent figures coming up on the anti-social justice side. Not that PewDiePie is explicitly anti-social justice, but he does, you know, he is politically incorrect, and he has such a massive audience that anytime he alludes to, you know, having fun about talking about Trump, or like not explicitly saying he's a racist bigot demon, you know, that puts seeds in the minds of his audience, which is really young. And Candace Owens is super important. The left needs to marginalize her, because if black people get woken up to the fact that they're on the Democratic plantation and that the left has been the party of the KKK and the party of Jim Crow, and the, you know, the part, and that welfare is, the whole welfare system and the war on poverty is actually, you know, predatory on the black community, and that's the mental slavery that Kanye was talking about. This is the shit that Candace Owens talks about, and she has credibility. She comes out as a black woman who used to be a leftist, and she breaks it down philosophically and with logic and reason. And if she wakes up a good percentage of the black population in America up, that is major trouble for the left. The left has to keep control of the black voting bloc in America to not totally collapse as a party. They need black people, and they need illegal immigrants. And Candace Owens has done a great job of waking up a lot of black people that were on the fence or kind of had questions about the, you know, because the black people on average I've met, they're skeptical toward that white liberal, you know, condescending, like, we know you need help, so we're just gonna help you out. Like, they're skeptical to that fucking, you know, bigotry of low expectations. They may not be able to fully articulate it, the people I've met, but they get it when you break it down to them. And Candace Owens breaks it down to people in a fantastic way. And so interesting that the New Zealand guy would name her as like an inspiration for going and shooting a bunch of Muslims. Like, come on, dude. So weird. And you know, it's also a big part of the leftist narrative we need to portray Muslims as victims, you know, as an oppressed class. And we can't talk about how demented and fucked up their culture is, because we need them to come in there and replace the white males of America, because they're just, you know, they're soy boyed out. So all it's hitting all these points of the narrative that would need to be highlighted if it was a deep state psychological operation to whip up this guy to do this thing. So it literally all lines up. Is that evidence that it was? No. But, it's something to look into further. Oh, I'll get into Mueller here in a second. Let me take this opportunity to present the most disrespectful part of the podcast. This is a regularity for regular streamers here. I am Nick Jordan, the Federal Outrage Chancellor here at the Federal Outrage Commune. We run this channel just like the Federal Reserve. And I'd appreciate, if you send your paychecks, I will disperse them back as I see fit. But for now, Proxnoid knows what's going on. This is the most disrespectful part of the podcast where I go in the other room and I present my flow to the stream. I present my stream to the streamers here at Outrage TV, and I appreciate if you guys rate it out of 10. I will leave the door open so you can hear it. A very important part of the podcast. And I shall be right back. I will talk about Mueller and I will grab another beer. That was the best I had, man. It was middle of the road, That was kind of like Robert Mueller's effort, in the Russia investigation there. It's pretty lukewarm, all right? Lackluster. Oh, well, there's only so much you can do when there's literally no evidence of what you're trying to investigate. But boy, did they drag it out. Oh, man, they strung the leftists along, didn't they? Oh, those basement-dwelling, Cheeto finger Xbox dick leftists who desperately wanted Trump to be struck down by the Mueller. And we're left, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's Mueller, 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 Mueller. There's nothing to be found, ladies and gentlemen. The Mueller has run dry. He's run dry of, his 2-year masturbation session looking at Donald Trump's past girlfriends and whatnot. And trying to save face for the Clinton crime machine. Hillary Clinton probably had, death threats on all of Robert Mueller's family to keep it going. And he's finally done with it. Hillary's like, I got a sniper looking at your house, Mueller. Oh, don't make any false moves. Oh, yeah. Rachel Maddow was out there getting her carpet munched on vacation, and they dragged her back. How sad. Oh, my God. Poor Rick Maddow. Oh, man, they just, excitedly report on every fake piece of shit story, with anonymous sources, everything that came out of BuzzFeed, the whole Steele dossier, like, how in the fuck Hillary Clinton isn't being prosecuted for that is absurd. It's like a shittily written James Bond movie. She literally tapped a fucking British intelligence officer, Christopher Steele, in order to write a piece of fan fiction about how Donald Trump likes getting pissed on by Russian hookers. And they passed that off as some kind of revelation in the dossier. Ooh, Trump, how will he explain this? What's up, Ishant? You're here because this is the portal of truth you found on the internet. All right, this is Outrage TV. We hold nothing back. We pull no punches. We're here, breaking down what's really going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen. What's really going on is Robert Mueller's jizz supply has run dry. I can't tell if you're sarcastic with the nice pronunciation of your name, but I'll continue to call you Ishant. But yeah, the whole Russian thing is the subtraction, or the distraction, excuse me, the distraction from what actually happened with the WikiLeaks, which is the Seth Rich thing there. Can I get your drink? It's natural light there, sir. Natty light. All right. Typically fueling horrific frat boy decisions, instead fueling arguments that save Western civilization on this evening in particular. So the whole Russia thing was a big distraction from what actually happened with the WikiLeaks. And WikiLeaks said that Seth Rich, who was a DNC staffer and a Bernie supporter, was their source for the information. It wasn't a Russian hack that happened across the world. PewDiePie versus T-Series. Who do you support? I don't know who T-Series is, so I'll go PewDiePie. I'll get to Jack Dorsey and Twitter here in a second. So Seth Rich, DNC staffer, Bernie supporter, obviously would have been distraught to look at the internal emails in the DNC and see the kind of bias they had against Bernie and how they were openly fucking him over and pushing him to the side and wanting Hillary to be the nominee. And, I don't like Bernie Sanders as much as anybody, but I would actually take Bernie Sanders maybe over Hillary. Just based on, I don't know, I hate socialism so much and it might collapse the economy. But anyway, so the WikiLeaks drop. Guccifer is this purported, Russian asset, and then they blame it on him, and they blame it on Julian Assange for being a Russian-controlled asset. Suddenly, he's Russian-controlled when he attacks the left. Or not attacks the left, just reveals damaging information on the left. When he was, revealing damaging information in the Bush administration, oh, he's loving and wonderful, and isn't he? Let's do a nice profile on him and interview him, and he's just so delicate and smart, and George Bush is that evil bastard is going after Julian Assange, prosecuting whistleblowers. And but then when he reveals damaging information about the left, what up, Vaping Carper? He gets smeared as a toady for the Russians. They've been shipping him shipment of vodka on the regular to embassy where he stay, and he get corrupted by wonderful purified vodka from Russia. From Vladimir Putin, he got him on Russian payroll, endless supply of vodka. That's, Julian Assange, that Russian bastard. So the WikiLeaks drop, and they're very damaging to the Democrats. They show Hillary Clinton cheating to get the debate questions in advance. They show Bernie obviously getting fucked over. They show all this internal banker speeches that Hillary Clinton gave, and all this creepy shit about wanting open borders and doing favors for the banks, and selling out the country through the Clinton Foundation and whatnot. Super damaging if you actually went and read them. But CNN was like, let us interpret those WikiLeaks for you. Don't go and trouble your own ocular nerves. We will take care of interpreting information for you. Don't even bother yourself, good citizens. Just let us do the hard work for you. And then, as WikiLeaks says that, Seth Rich is their source, Seth Rich gets mysteriously murdered at 4 a.m. in Washington, D.C. on the street. And they said it was a botched robbery. None of his valuables taken. It's my estimation that he was, the latest victim of the Clinton crime organization. What do I think of Jack Dorsey and Twitter? Twitter is, Twitter is super shady. Definitely leftist slanted, and definitely censoring in favor of the leftists and against anybody who's freedom-minded. The bias is patently obvious. Anyone who's charismatic, anyone who's and supports freedom and has a big following will be shadow banned or censored or blocked or oh, you can call me Nick, by the way, John Doe. Twitter handle is I am Nick Jordan, at I am Nick Jordan. The link is in the description there below. And also my Instagram. I post, I go live on the Instagram, let y'all know when I'm going live on the podcast here, so you get the little notifications and whatnot. But yeah, for now I'm on Twitter as well because I like doing the quote tweet feature and just pointing out people's bullshit. Why is this on your recommendation, Captain? Because you've reached the portal of truth and rational argumentations. Yes, I'm drinking Natty Light. It's usually the beverage of brainless frat boys, but now we're using it to defend Western civilization. Okay, I know I'm not in college. I know the Christmas lights may give you may deceive you there. I'm out here in Hollywood. I'm a comedian from Oklahoma, and I've come to shame the communists and say some true things on stage. A shocking revelation that many of them get oh so triggered when it happens. But we're here talking about the WikiLeaks debacle, the fake Russia investigation, and the demonization of Donald Trump and the media, and the demonization generally of white people and the majority taxpayers in America by the media and by the left at large. But yeah, we're talking about Twitter censorship as well. Twitter censorship. They have such, I don't know, people are just going to have to move on from these social media platforms. I don't know if alternatives are going to rise up that are more free speech friendly, but I don't think there's like government regulation that needs to come in and crack down on these motherfuckers. Like, no, I'm not for governmental solutions to goddamn anything. Let it be. Let the marketplace sort it out. Just make your own decisions and get on whatever platforms you see fit. What do I think of Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan is a product of his time. He's, generally a good source of the guests he has on have a lot of good information. I've learned a lot about, working out and diet and whatever from watching his podcast. He's had some good philosophical thinkers. He himself is not a great philosophical thinker. He's kind of emotional based. I think he grew up with a single mom, and so he has a very kind of feminine way of processing ideas, where he is led more by his feelings than like rational argumentation. So, and he also doesn't understand economics. That's his one main failing politically, is he doesn't understand economics. He doesn't understand why universal basic income is such a retarded idea. He doesn't like, he's masculine enough to throw kettlebells around, but he's not, logic minded enough to crack a Murray Rothbard book. He could take some DMT and, get into some woo-woo pseudo-philosophical horse shit. But he doesn't understand why the welfare system is bad. He thinks we just need to be compassionate. Why wouldn't we be? I have a bunch of money. I don't mind giving up my money. Taxation isn't theft. Well, what about the people that have a little bit less money than you, Joe, that don't want to pay that 40% or whatever it is that they're in the tax bracket they're in? They don't agree with being stolen from. Just because somebody intends to rape you and you start to like it halfway through doesn't make it consensual sex. You were getting raped and you just decided you liked it midway through. That's the people that say they're happy to pay taxes. It's like the government's raping you either way, but then some people just decide they're okay with it midway through. You know what? This government dick isn't half bad. It's like that's the justification for, supplying all of this money to this big corrupt, obviously shady institution called the government that's, pulled so many false flags. And just look up democide, how many people have died at the hands of their own government in the 20th century alone. Like, it's unreal. And then Andrew Yang, people believe that he knows anything about economics because he's Asian, and people are like, he could do my long division homework. And it's like, he doesn't. He's an idiot. All right, if he thinks he's going to get Amazon or Netflix to pay taxes. You're not. All right, rich people know how to keep their own money. They know how to pay off lobbying teams to get regulation passed and get legislation through. They know how to protect their interests. All right? Just because Andrew Yang, you might look over at him and be prejudicial and want to copy his homework, he's got all the wrong answers, all right? Don't judge the book by the cover. What up, Jackal Box? Was cracking. And also, rich people can afford plane tickets. They don't have to stay in the United States if we have all of a sudden this big tax on the rich. And it's like, oh, we got to give all these Cheeto Finger Xbox dicks $1,000 a month for remaining breathing. They're contributing so much value to the economy with their oxygen. They're breathing. They haven't stopped breathing yet. Why haven't we paid them? And Rogan just buys into the shit because it's this sympathetic, pathological altruism that's a total feminine quality, which is like, oh, we just gotta take care of them. We just, whatever it takes to take care of them, we just take care of them. And he's also in favor of more, increasing federal funding to public schools. Oh boy, what a great idea. Let's throw some more money in that fucking propagandistic sinkhole. We're just... Did anybody who went to public school here enjoy their time? Did you really come out enlightened from public school? Oh my God. And it's not because of a lack of money. Yeah, he's also influenced by his Jewish managers out here in Hollywood, absolutely. And remaining in the friendships that he has out here with leftists in Hollywood, he doesn't want to ruffle their feathers, exactly. But I'm just talking about the bare bone nuts and bolts of the ideology. Talking about giving more money to public schools. Did anybody have a good time, in class in their public schools? I know you have probably had, good times with your friends that you met in high school or whatever, or middle school or whatever. The friends were the good time. The curriculum that you learned was absolutely worthless. You weren't taught anything about how to start a small business, how to be sound with your money, how to make good investments, nothing. And it's supposed to prepare you for life. They didn't teach you anything about negotiating, relationships with the opposite sex. And they give you one sex ed class and was like, abstinence. And everybody laughed and that was it. And then you went back to learning the Pythagorean theorem for some fucking stupid reason while you're staring at the girl's tits across the room and you can't concentrate. Public school is absolute trash, and more money is not going to fix the fucking problem. More money does not fix the problem with the public schools. You have to fix the Common Core curriculum. The Common Core curriculum is the core problem It's the information that's being dispersed to the kids, or the lack of information that's being dispersed to the kids. It's not the amount of money. They could have fucking gold-plated laptops and, like fucking hors d'oeuvres being served around the classroom. If they're still being taught that fascism is a right-wing ideology and the Nazis are right-wing and that Joseph McCarthy was a wingnut psycho, it's not going to matter. All right? They're being propagandized in order to justify the existence of a government because, what do you know? The public school is funded, drum roll, by the government. Oh! Why can't we address, baseline philosophical principles in public school? I think there might be a conflict of interest there. Oh! And so that's one of the retarded ideas that Rogan buys into as well. And it's like, he just has this feminine matriarchal impulse in him to want to take care of people. And, at a certain point, it's like you understand that, but you got to outthink that. You got to be able to step back and be like, is this rational? The welfare state is not rational. Public school is not rational. It's super fucking destructive. Anything the government creates as a program will achieve the opposite of its stated end. So the stated end of the welfare state is to, cure poverty. What does it do? Extend poverty into infinity. And we pump money into it. Over $20+ trillion have been pumped in the war on poverty. Poverty's gone down less than 2% in the last 60 years. Is there any reevaluation of the program? No. It's just, we had a little more money. There's no fucking results. It's not efficient because they don't have to be efficient because they're getting the money either way because they got a gun to your head and they're like, fuck you, you straight white male taxpayer. We've already demonized you, so nobody cares about you having to pay taxes, all right? Don't try to play the sympathy card. Just pay up.
You're so loud, please. Not funny, please. Shouting, please.
Please, sir, don't attack the teachers, but the system. Fuck the teachers. They work till 3 p.m. in the afternoon. They got summers off. I don't have any sympathy for those cocksuckers. Their job is so fucking easy. You just read off a Common Core curriculum and fucking make a lesson plan out of nothing. Out of all the teachers I had, I maybe had 2 good teachers. Out of all my years in public school, like, fuck off. They're the lowest end of the intellectual, they're the lowest rung on the intellectual ladder. And they're, if they were useful at all, they would boycott the public school system and push for more privatization of the schools. What up, Vic Slav, with your ad hominem attacks? Care to give me an argument, sir? My IQ is tested orders of magnitude over Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan posted his IQ 127. I'm up in that 137, 140, baby. Come at me. I mean, I respect Joe Rogan for what he's done in the podcast world and as a comic, and I've met him before, and he's a nice dude for the most part, and he has a lot of good ideas. He spreads a lot of good ideas. He has Jordan Peterson on his podcast. He's had Owen Benjamin on his podcast a lot of times, and, he's not all bad or anything. I'm just pointing out the faults in Rogan's ideology, which need to be pointed out because he's so goddamn huge right now. Everybody's just enamored with the Rogan podcast. And truth be told, he was one of the main inspirations for me coming out to Hollywood, and getting into stand-up comedy. Oh yeah, I met him after a show one time. Surprisingly short, but that's okay. All right? He's got a lot of energy. Oh, John Doe, you're a teacher? Interesting. I think, it's fucked up it's a fucked up situation once you're in there, and you really, I have sympathy for I say fuck teachers, I was kind of joking, but I have sympathy for teachers that genuinely want to educate children and get satisfaction from educating children and introducing them to new ideas. And you can do that in little ways outside of the Common Core system. You can do that in little ways, and you can be a big influence in a kid's life, and that's super important. I don't know how you get around the Common Core thing, because that's what you fundamentally have to test them on. So they have to know that shit. And so if you come in there talking about the Nazis aren't right wing, they're the National Socialist Party, and the Democrats are the party of the KKK, and they're the party of Jim Crow, and they own the majority of the slaves, and it's like the leftist teachers surrounding you are not gonna, be very happy about that. And you're going to have some splaining to do when the leftist parents of these kids come and have a talking with you at the parent-teacher conference. And, oh my God, we're going to have a performance review of you. Yeah, don't let your schooling interfere with your education, AJ. Spot on the money. I would say start I don't know, man. Start your own thing. Like, educate kids, in a privatized setting, and however you can, whether it's through the internet or in your own community, whether it's just with your own kids. But I think you can contribute a lot more value if you have, a lot more personal time, and it's not these big classes where you got to have them pass a Common Core test. Instead, you can design literally from scratch your own lesson plans and have a lot more personal time with the kids, and really, get a dialogue of ideas going back and forth, and really have them learn what's going on, instead of just having them memorize facts and regurgitate facts for a test and then they forget it a month later. Like, that's not useful for anybody. So I do have sympathy for people caught up in that system that didn't realize the extent of how much they were going to be controlled as a teacher, but you got to find a different path. Because that's not the best way to influence the next generation. I mean, most of the stuff is happening on the internet now. That's why Jordan Peterson, I don't even know if he teaches classes anymore, because he can go live on his YouTube page and get 1 million hits and influence 1 million people instead of a classroom of 30. So if you really got some good ideas, go on the internet and share them. What up, Jay Chavez? Would I rather lose my smell or taste? Man, fuck smell. I don't need smell, dude. I'd be happy if I never smelled doo-doo again in my life, but I want to taste a good meal, dude. You can't take that away from me. That's one of the main reasons I work out. I work out so I can eat that fucking whole Little Caesars pizza and a pint of ice cream after that motherfucking get all jacked up, feeling like Xerxes walking around Beverly Hills and shit while I'm doing Postmates, dude. When you get all jacked up after you lift some weights and then put down like 3,000 calories, you feel like a goddamn king. You feel like you need to be carried around on a throne and shit. And that's it. That's that tasty. Yeah, smell is sort of connected to taste. Yeah, but you gave me an either or, son. I don't have to smell pizza to taste it. Give me some of that piece of pie. That was a hardcore troll question, but I like it, Jay. Try having 32 16-year-olds. Yeah, I don't envy that position, dude. And you got to get them to memorize this shit. Ugh. What's up, Vanessa? She said you could lobby the state government to end Common Core. The Florida government just signed an executive order to get rid of it. That's good, man. That's good. Get rid of that shit. So I'm checking the PayPal right now just to see if anybody's contributed. PayPal.me/Outrage TV if you want to give me a comment, and I will 100% give you a rant on your comment. I will go off on whatever you ask me. PayPal.me/Outrage TV if you want to contribute to the To the federal outrage chancellor here. What up, Nalgas are mine? Take off your shirt and flash that swastika. I can't do that, baby. Man, you want me to get that community guideline strike? I can't come out with my full fascist ideals. I mean, that would just be reckless. We've got to be tactful. If I've learned anything from the Jews, okay, I have to be tactful. I have to be sneaky. All right, I can't just come on here and, flash my swastika tattoos. That's just absurd. I will just, show my allegiance to the Fuhrer with rhetoric alone. What up, Fallout person? What up, son? What up, son? Oh, yeah, I feel you, John Doe. But yeah, man, the Nazis were leftists, dude. They were soy boys. Hitler was a vegetarian failed artist who couldn't get laid. He was an incel. All right? He wasn't a right winger. All right? Fascism is a big government ideology. All right? It's right next to communism. It's just a little bit removed from communism. That's not the political spectrum. Communism and then fascism way over here on the right. That's how they try to use that propaganda tactic to label people who want freedom as being close to Nazis. Oh, you're alt-right. Oh, you're a white nationalist. Oh, you're close to being a Nazi. You want freedom. No, that's not the real political spectrum. It's over here, all the way on the left is fascism and communism, and then it goes down, 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 less government, less government, less government to freedom. And so that's how they slander the freedom-minded people, is associating them with Nazis. Vixlav, what do I think about minimum wage? I think it's retarded, narcissistic. Yeah, exactly, Wesley. Anarchy is all the way to the right, which is why I'm an anarchist, because I have principles that I stick by. All right, the non-aggression principle means taxation is theft, means the government is an illegitimate institution, it's immoral, it's evil. That's the next, social revolution. We got rid of slavery. Now we need to get rid of the government. What's up, Andrew Miller? I appreciate it, baby. I appreciate the donation. The preferred donation way is paypal.me/Outrage TV. Just letting you know for future advance. I do appreciate it, good sir. But I haven't figured out, my Google AdSense account and shit on this account. So, paypal.me/Outrage TV if you want to throw me some shekels. Vic Slab says, what do you think about the minimum wage? Okay, minimum wage. Minimum wage is a narcissistic idea that you can dictate to employers what they should pay their employees. No, what the employees get paid is a result of the value they contribute to the business. So all you do when you raise the minimum wage is you raise the burden that the employer has to pay their employees. So all you're going to end up with is less employees. They're going to have cuts. They're going to cut. They're going to lay people off, and then they're either going to do that or they're going to raise the prices of everything they're selling or the products they're offering, because they have to cover that spread one way or another. They just don't have a pile of money sitting somewhere that they can just give more money to the employees. Like, why don't you just give me more money? It's like, you got to do more shit. You got to provide more value for me to give you more money. It's a give and take here. And the employer is taking most of the risk. Like at a restaurant job, the owner of the restaurant is taking way more risk when he starts the business and invests all this money in the restaurant working, versus the waiter who comes there and applies and gets a wage and gets tips. It's like he's not taking any risk. If the restaurant fails, he can just go get another job at another restaurant. The fucking employer is out all of that money he originally had to invest. And so the minimum wage is a narcissistic socialist idea that we can go in there and manipulate prices, and we need a living wage. It's like, how about you negotiate for your living wage and provide some value to the market and actually do something that people value and that people find useful. Make yourself useful. We don't want to do that. We just want to get paid. Right. How do I pay for government employees? I don't want, not through the gun of taxation to your head. How about that? Voluntarily. How about that? If the teachers are doing a good job, they shall get paid, because there's a desire for people who have to go to work, who have kids, who want their kids to be educated, and they don't have the means or the situation to be able to homeschool. They want somebody else they want to offload that task to somebody else and have somebody else bear that burden of educating their kid. Okay, that's a demand of society, and so people are willing to do that job. They supply that job, and so they can get paid directly by the people who want that service. It's a give and take. It's an economic transaction. There's no need for the government to be involved whatsoever. The schools are paid for through property tax. They don't need to be. They can be paid for directly through the people that use the service of the school. There's no need for the government middleman. The only justification for the government middleman is if the school isn't actually providing value, to justify their existence and justify their money they're receiving, which is the case now. I mean, public schools are absolutely worthless. You get done with 12 years of schooling, and the immediate thing that everybody says you need to do is, you need to pay all this money to go and get 4 more years so you can be qualified for the workforce. You just did 12 years in public school and you're not qualified for the workforce? What was all that time for? What it was for is to indoctrinate you into the government system and be able to accept these rulers above you making decisions on your behalf. Teachers should make $100K a year. They probably would if there were actually really good teachers in the free market that gave great ideas to kids and help facilitate their critical thinking and produced great thinking citizens. But that's not what's happening. And so they're getting paid, generally what they provide, and it's not much right now. And like I said before, I have sympathy for them, because the kids all have to get tested on the Common Core shit. And so they cannot deviate from that core of propaganda very far before they get a crackdown. If you start talking about fundamental principles in school, in public school, you start talking about the non-aggression principle, pretty soon your kids are going to connect the dots. And they're going to be like, wait, so my parents are forced at the point of a gun to fund your salary. Interesting. You don't want them asking those fundamental questions. Hazel says, I feel like they would do a better job with less financial stress. That seems to be a pretty feminine perspective, with all due respect. I mean, everybody has financial stress. It's stressful trying to provide value to the marketplace. Everybody has it. But, that stress can sometimes produce, a great work ethic that can produce great things. Stress is a part of being a human being. It should not be subsidized by the government. Dragon Energy on a Saturday morning, ladies and gentlemen, March 23rd, 2019. Glad to be hanging out with you bad motherfuckers here. What up, Shoston? You look and sound like you're supported by your parents. Well, that's a common assumption. I do look pretty well-to-do, aristocratic, if you will. But my parents are actually very blue-collar, lower middle class in Oklahoma. My dad's a machinist. My mom sells furniture, and nothing special. All right, they help me out as much as they can, because they're really fucking good people that have dedicated their lives to helping their kids. And can't say enough good things about my parents, that they were both there. They planned to have kids, and they did it the right way. It wasn't like a whoops accident, and then we're still trying to live our single lives. And no, they, as soon as they had kids, man, they made a commitment and they dedicated to raising good kids. And I thank them, forever for that. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have that luxury. And what that affords you is, you always have your parents' voices in your head, and it helps you navigate life, because when you get into situations of struggle and situations of lack and situations of stress, you got to pull back and look at things from a bigger perspective. And having parents that are connected to reality really help that. You just call your parents up and have a conversation. What's going on with you? What's going on with me? And they can just let you know what they think. And there's no like tension there. There's no like pent up like trauma from your childhood. It's like, you could just have a dialogue with them, and get some advice from somebody who's lived on the planet a lot longer than you. And it also helps you not go down the tubes of nihilism, which is really easy when you realize how fucked up and corrupt the world is. You can really and how small the earth is compared to the surrounding universe. You can feel insignificant. You can feel like nothing matters. You can feel like there's no meaning in your life. But you got to find meaning in your life. You got to create meaning in your life by creating a challenge for yourself that's big enough to inspire you and small enough to achieve. You got to find that middle ground and fucking commit to it. And then once you're on that path, then those parental voices, when you defer from the path, you can hear your mom in your head, Nicholas, what are you doing? As I'm going in for that second line of cocaine, I'm like, well, I better make use of this. I better get a page written on my screenplay at least. I mean, we're shooting for goals here, all right? We're just not trying to, wallow in our own ineptitude and nihilism and get fucked up and, just live life for dopamine hits. That's what a lot of people out here in Hollywood are doing. They're living life for dopamine hits. They're just trying to, get fucked up for the current moment and not really think about too much. Let's see. Blah says, if you're not exposed to the harsh reality of your choices, then you are incentivized to make mistakes carelessly. Yeah, if you don't face the consequences of your own behavior, you're not going to be able to self-correct. Oh, I got the dopamine hits on the vapor right there, baby. But I'm using them to talk to you beautiful people. That's how we do it on the motherfucking Outrage cast, baby. Vixlov says, how do you get rid of government healthcare without people dying? Well, there's a thing called being a doctor, and usually, just like any other profession in society, they prefer to earn money for their practice. If you want healthcare for free, try being the change you want to see in society. Go and spend, six figures on high six figures on getting a medical degree, and 6 to 10 years of your life becoming a doctor, and then after all that, work for free. Work for free, baby. Oh, how little do we value the Hippocratic Oath there. I think doctors should be compensated just like any other profession. But, you can get health insurance. There's nothing stopping people from getting voluntary health insurance. And it's like this, we need to be covered for pre-existing conditions. It's like the most retarded shit I've ever heard. Like, it's like getting like house insurance while your house is on fire. You should have did this earlier. But how doctors used to work was kind of like an insurance system. You used to have a personal relationship with your doctor, and you would pay him a little bit every month just to keep you not sick. And then when you got sick, you stopped paying your doctor. And he's like, oh, that's didn't get the check this month. And you're like, yeah, been coughing this month. Better figure it out. And then he has an actual incentive to make you better, instead of, oh, you get sick and then you go to the doctor and you pay him to treat you with some drugs that may or may not address the root cause of your disease. It may just manage the symptoms on the surface and keep you strung along in the pharmaceutical system, which is incestuous too. The doctors in the pharmaceutical system, they have an incentive to just go ahead and prescribe you Oxycontin for that back pain and not address the actual slipped disc or, you know, the torn muscle back there. We're just going to pop these pills in you, baby. Keep you on that pill string. What up, J Hero? What you never heard of, son? Baby, I cut my own hair. Oh, we ain't paying for haircuts out here, baby. I do that fucking number 1 on the side, number 5 on the top, man. And I keep the neck clean, you know? You gotta cut your own hair. You ain't shit if you don't cut your own hair, dude. You out here paying these barbers and fucking hairdressers. You know? I won't have it. Cheaper to get people on the painkillers than to fix the problem? Well, fundamentally, it's their own personal choice whether or not they decide to address the root problems. A lot of people have terrible diets, they don't exercise, and so they'd rather just take a pill and destroy their liver and slowly deteriorate for comfort, you know, because it's uncomfortable once you haven't exercised and have eaten like shit for 5, 10, 15 years. A lot of people don't have the fucking impulse to get up and make themselves into something better. It takes a lot of energy to get that fucking train moving, dude. So I don't blame them, you know. They're just going to reap the consequences of their choices. Blah says you wait for them to get complete shit and then cut them up to pieces and charge them a lot at that point. I don't know what you mean by that, blah. John Doe says, yes, you're right. It's harder for people to get healthy through natural means, but unfortunately, that is not the case. So what do we do? You just got to spread good information and hope people act on it, you know? I mean, everything about having a good diet and you know, maintaining a healthy lifestyle is online if you want to look for it. But meanwhile, like, a third of the population is diabetic or pre-diabetic, you know, and obese. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's like, and the government doesn't help. Like, the government always achieves the opposite of its stated end. So the government mandated food pyramid was supposed to keep the population healthy. What did it achieve? A bunch of people ate a lot of bread and a bunch of pasta, and they got really fat. And they got diabetes, and they got heart problems, and they got hypertension. And, you know, that's that government-mandated solutions, baby. Blah says, patients get really bad health to a point where we have to perform surgery to fix their problem. Western medicine is currently about treating the symptom and not the root of the problem. Exactly, because the doctors don't know a lot about nutrition, and you know, they specialize in the treatment of problems. The real solution is having a healthy lifestyle, but people don't know how to do that. They think, you know, being on a diet is some kind of restriction thing. What I do, I learned how to do this from trial and error, because I went on super low carb for a while and just get real lean, and then it was fucking miserable because I was like, am I really going to sustain this? I want donuts. I want pizza. I want ice cream. I'm like anybody. I got a fucking sweet tooth, dude. I love candy. I love all that sugary bullshit. I love milkshakes. I love a fucking good burger and a milkshake, son, with the fucking fat fries on the side, man. I love all of that. So I'm like, how do I negotiate this? And then I started doing cheat meals. I started watching The Rock's Instagram. And first of all, why is The Rock getting so goddamn big? He's like 3 times the size he was when he was a professional wrestler. What are you training for, Rock? All right, are you training for the goddamn apocalypse? Anyway, I saw the cheat meals he was doing. That's what he's working out for those cheat meals, dude. But I saw the cheat meals he did, and so I was like, okay, one day a week I'm gonna have that goddamn cheat meals. And so Saturday I was my cheat day, and so Friday when 11:59 ticked over to midnight and it was Saturday, I was like, it's on, baby. I'm going to Yum Yum Donuts. Ooh. And I would get a fucking dozen of donuts and eat as many as I fucking could. Pass the fuck out. Wake up Saturday around 11 or 12 and go straight to Little Caesars and get me a fat fucking large pizza. And I would dig in on that, dude. And then I might even hit the Chinese buffet later that night, dude. I would detonate my whole fucking Saturday and just feel like a blob of shit for the entire weekend because of it. And I was like, man, this is not sustainable either. Because I would torture myself all week long with the low carb. And then I would go, crazy on Saturday. And it just wasn't feeling good, man. It ruined my whole weekend. And so what I started doing is I started working out on an empty stomach. And after I would work out and lift weights, lifting weights, not cardio. I don't really believe in running or in this long form cardio. I don't want to look like a Kenyan marathon runner, dude. I want to look like either a sprinter or a weightlifter. All right, I want to be, I got some muscle mass. I want to be shredded right there. So I would work out on an empty stomach. I would have some caffeine, some coffee, energy drink, sugar-free energy drink, or whatever before the gym. Go in and lift some weights. Get my muscles all worn out. Do them chin-ups. I've been doing them dips. Put the weight on the waist. Do the fucking, curl bar. Hit that military press and shit. Hit the squats. And then I'd eat whatever the fuck I want after the gym. And then your muscles are all depleted of the glycogen, and so your body's craving sugar and glucose. So then after you work out, after you wear your muscles out, you can go and eat whatever the fuck you want. I go and eat a full Little Caesars pizza. I get a full pint of ice cream. I eat a ton of protein bars, man. I go nuts. And that way you don't gain an ounce of fat. And it all goes to your muscles. And you can eat whatever the fuck you want after you work out. AJ says, how many days a week do I work out? I work out once every 3 days. I like to have 2 days of rest in between. Because you don't want to overwork your system. Because I like to get a good full body workout in. Go in there and lift all the weights and fucking blow it out. And then eat whatever the fuck I want. And you don't want to be taking in fucking... On these days, I'll take in like 250 grams of sugar and like 4,000 calories. You don't want to be doing that like every other day or every day. That's a little crazy. You don't want to, run into health problems, but you can balance it out if you have 2 good low carb days with a lot of meat and vegetables and whatnot. And then on your workout days, you go work your ass off and then treat yourself to whatever the fuck you want to do. Go to that Chinese buffet. Go to that fucking, authentic Mexican food truck. Go dig down, baby. Get you a full pizza. Fucking dig on it, son. And that'll, reset your hormone levels and it'll get you feeling good, dude. Oh, yeah. We glorify fatness in the country. Body acceptance. Don't shame me. I shouldn't be shamed. I'm beautiful as I am. It's like, not looking too healthy there, baby. All right, we're going in for the second piss of the podcast. This one might be better than the first, all right? Rate me out of 10. I'm coming back. I'm cracking another beer. I'm reading comments, dude. That one felt pretty strong. I don't know what y'all thought about that one, but that one felt pretty strong, dude. What up, Doug Caro? Give you a 10 if you wash your hands, dude. I don't piss on my hands, all right? My dick is clean. I washed my dick today in the shower. Okay. I did not piss. I pissed accurately. I did not get any piss on my fingers. Okay. And even if I did, that's my own business, AJ. God damn it. This podcast is so absurd, dude. It's not a podcast, it's an outrage cast, all right? It's a complete outrage, all right? You should be outraged. Oh, please like it if you like it, share it out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. PayPal.me/Outrage TV. Hit me up with some PayPal questions, if you please. What do y'all think about the Democratic fucking candidates? They're half-assed candidates. There's this article on Drudge Report today. Why are the 2020 Dems so weird? And it's like, it's so funny watching dudes like Beto O'Rourke just try to stand up there and apologize for being white. Yeah, pissing with the door open, dude. We're savages here at Outrage TV, man. We're a throwback. All right. I'm from Oklahoma. I'm a goddamn hillbilly savage. All right. There's a hillbilly loose in Hollywood. All right. And they can't stand it. And they can't stand that I'm here, building my platform on the outskirts of Hollywood and slowly but steadily, making them all look like idiots from afar. It's just so delicious, isn't it? Oh. But I'm still going to work my way into those channels. I'm going to work my way into the Jewish conspiracy out here in Hollywood. I'm going to, my movie scripts that I'm writing are going to be so tantalizing. All right? These Jews aren't even going to be able to deny them. They're going to try to deny them because they're going to see my streams and they're going to see me questioning the Federal Reserve. They're going to see me, questioning the Talmud. They're going to see me, questioning the in-group preference of Muslims and Jews alike. All right, and wondering aloud why whites don't have the same. All right, tantalize the Jews with our movie scripts. Hashtag, ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to be able to resist. They want the dragon energy. They say they don't want it, but it's like women who say they hate toxic masculinity, all right? But then they come up against it. Then they meet me or they meet Donald Trump in the flesh and, their knees get weak. And it's okay, all right? It's okay if you like the toxic masculinity. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to pretend you want to hang out with, Aziz Ansari. You don't have to pretend that you want to hang out with, the thick-rimmed, black glasses dweeb who says he's into feminist issues. Like, nobody wants to hang around that guy. It's okay. John Doe, quit calling me Outrage TV. Call me Nick, buddy. You're part of the stream now. Act like it. I don't know you, goddammit. Why would I call you for an interview? It's fine. We got the comments here, It's all good, buddy. Joe Biden 2020. Oh, not only is he an evil patriarchal white male, he's caught on video sniffing 9-year-old necks. All right, right in front of their parents, just. Dude. Just. And the dad of the 9-year-old parent is just. We're glad to be here. Here with in the rings of power. Uncle Joe, he's getting his sniffs in. He enjoys a good sniff now. I mean, my daughter's neck is very sniffable. I don't blame him. Creepy Joe. Daddy, save me. Now, honey, Joe Biden's he's very powerful. What's up, hello, 1, 2, and a bunch of motherfucking numbers talking about Building 7. I see you staying anonymous there, questioning the 9/11 narrative, Building 7, well, if you're going to get into the Jewish conspiracies, Larry Silverstein was on live TV and he said, pull it. Pull it. I think it was a legitimate terrorist attack that our government happened to capitalize on. The military-industrial complex happened to profit from. So very opportunistic in the military-industrial complex. They took the opportunity there to execute a little regime change, a little profiteering from the oil reserves in the poppy fields there in the Middle East. And it was an offer they couldn't refuse. I don't think it was orchestrated or anything like that. And I think planes actually went in the buildings, and I think Building 7 collapsed based on some structural failures there. Oh no, it's cool. I'm down for any topic talk, baby. 9/11 is an interesting piece of American history there. I remember seeing it in 5th grade. They wheeled a TV in, and you want to see me shotgun a Natty Light? This ain't the frat house, bruh. All right, we're staying coherent as much as possible on the stream. But they wheeled a TV in 5th grade, and we watched the fucking towers come down. It was pretty insane. We didn't know what the fuck to think about it in 5th grade. We were just making jokes about it walking home. We saw a plane in the air. We was like, oh, that's the next one. We didn't know what the fuck to think. Very weird moment in American history, and we've been at war ever since. Oh, Lord. I think that was just before I got a computer. I got a computer when I was 11 years old. I'm glad I had 10 years before the internet. I had 10 years to be a regular human kid and go outside and play, in drainage ditches and get lost and get dirty and fucking play football with my friends and go outside and have some, free, unorganized play that wasn't, digitized. We would go and fucking get lost in the drainage pipes. That was our entertainment, dude. We would go... And one time we were gone for fucking almost 10 hours, and my mom freaked out and called the cops. And they found us crawling up out of the drainage, the drains on the side of the road. We were crawling up onto the street level, pretty nefarious little children there. We were up to no good. Riding around on our fucking bikes, making bike jumps and shit. Playing Smear the Queer. Nobody got offended. All right, queers got smeared. That's what happened, dude. Nobody's feelings got hurt, and if they did, they were made fun of, and they realized how to deal with it. Deal with a little adversity there. Oh, adversity, we can't handle that. What about a safe space? We need a safe space. That's what kids are missing a lot now. It's that unorganized, no chaperone, just going out with your friends and figuring out some shit to do. That's where you get your negotiation skills. That's where you get your social dynamics. That's where you realize where you are in the social status pecking order and what you can do to better yourself. But now kids are all online and, it's all Facebook and likes and, like shit talking over the internet. And it's like, it's so weird and like detached. That's why I'm glad I had an actual childhood before the internet hit. Thoughts on how I can no longer sort YouTube videos by upload date? I didn't know that. That's weird. YouTube, they just make changes. It's not really connected to what the public wants. They just like have an idea of what they want to do. John Doe says, I'm a Christian constitutional nationalist. How do you feel about that label? Please be honest. Well, I'm an atheist anarchist. So, but I respect Christian morals, just not the metaphysics. I don't believe Jesus was the Son of God, a prophet who rose from the dead and walked on water and turned water into wine. It goes against every piece of empirical evidence I've ever experienced and every scientific principle of physics that, is understood. It goes against everything logical and rational. And so, but I don't shame Christian people for having faith in it because there's a lot of value in Christianity. There's a lot of value in Christianity. It's one of the bedrocks of Western civilization. And it really lends itself to having a small government and being an individual and having your own moral compass. And I respect the fuck out of that. I just don't agree with the metaphysical arguments. As far as being a nationalist, I recognize the principles of, it's kind of the same thing as religion. I recognize the value of American principles enumerated in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and free speech and the Second Amendment and whatnot. I recognize the value of all that and the benefits it have comparatively to other countries, and the comparative freedom we have to other countries is super valuable. But in a general sense, I don't have any emotional allegiance to the flag. I don't have any emotional allegiance to this patch of dirt I happen to be born on. I don't, the word patriot is a little weird because then it gets into like supporting the military and supporting the military industrial complex and all that. Like, I admire the courage of the people who enlist in the military, and there's a necessity to that. It's not that I have no love for the country. I don't have an emotional attachment to it. I recognize the value of some of the principles that went into creating it, and I respect those deeply and love the principles that are, as much as you can love a principle. Can I take a principal out for a candlelight dinner? Can I take the Second Amendment out for a candlelight dinner? I bet I could get the Second Amendment in the sack, dude. I could flash that Beretta, on my hip. Get them all excited. I'd get the Second Amendment in the sack on the first date, I think. Take them out for some pasta, a little soup and salad, maybe a nice vino. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about at this point. But I don't know. Do I love the country? I don't know, dude. I have, there's a powerful emotional component to how beautiful the ideas the founding fathers set forth. It is beautiful aesthetically, you know, the Declaration of Independence, the separation from British monarchy rule, the, you know, the setting forth into history, like we're going to have a representative republic, and you know we're going to do it this way, and just the confidence in how it worked out so beautifully, and the beauty of free market capitalism and the free exchange of ideas and services and products, and how it all fucking somehow works together. You know, yes, love the country, hate the government. Exactly. I love, you know, I love a lot of things about, you know, the fundamental ethic of this country, of like living free, working hard, and playing hard, and like the culture of America, the music that's come out of here, the stand-up comedy that's come out of America. Like, there's a definite emotional attachment. I mean, I'm fucking from this place. I've never left it. I've never left the boundaries of the United States. I've been all around the states, but I've never left it. I mean, I'd be lying if there wasn't an emotional attachment to, you know, the people and the places and but the flag and the idea of the, you know, the government, it's like, no, that's not it. Nationalism is too wrapped up with the federal government, I think. In this country, people say this country. Do you mean the individuals that make up this country, or the individuals in the federal government that rule over the country? Those are two separate things. People think the government is some like institution of society and it's just another like part of society. Like, no, it's a leech on the neck of society. It's a parasite. The government is a parasite because it's the one institution in society that's totally involuntary, and we have no say whether or not we participate in the government's dealings or not. They put a gun to our head and say, you're going to do business with us. And then you just have to accept it. Or else you go in a cage where men are waiting to rape you. And that's civilization. As good as humanity can manage it at this point. You know, even in the greatest civilization the world's ever seen in America in 2019, this modern, beautiful, technological society, if you don't pay the mafia their blood money, if you don't pay the IRS their taxes, you will get thrown in a cage where men are waiting to rape you. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her to the light that... I don't even know the words to that point. That's how unpatriotic I am. God damn it. John Doe says, I think you're wrong about that. When I pledge allegiance to the flag every day, I don't pledge allegiance to the government, but allegiance to the land. To the dirt, you pledge allegiance to the dirt. I don't have any particular allegiance to dirt. I enjoy the principles that the Founding Fathers created in the Constitution there. The Bill of Rights, you know. Some philosophers like Murray Rothbard, the principles, you know. Non-aggression principle, property rights. I pledge allegiance to those. I pledge allegiance to reason and evidence. Right, the idea of the country, which is the principles. You know? The grass is pretty. What about the grass? I pledge allegiance to the grass. I like a nice Bermuda sod. I lay manure down. I keep my grass nice. I don't have any grass, all right? I live in a Los Angeles apartment. That's not true. Our apartment complex has a little bit of grass, and funny story, it's the only patch of grass on my block that I live on here in Hollywood. And routinely, I'll go out there and stand out in the sun to get some vitamin D. And also routinely, it's the only patch of grass on the block. So people bring their dogs from all the surrounding apartment complexes. And they let their dogs spray out on our private property. All right. Even though there's a sign that says private property, no trespassing, will prosecute. And I'm standing there watching these people have their dogs spray out on our grass, and I gotta smell that. I've had multiple confrontations with these people, and they have no shame. The lack of shame is astounding. There's these hot girls that'll come over with their fucking Dalmatians, and they're just Dalmatians. They'll hop over the gate, they'll step over the gate right in front of me. And I'm just looking, just like, bitch, I live here. Did you see the sign? I literally want to call the cops on them at some point, dude. Just for a goof. Dude. What's up, TMP? This ain't Bud Light, baby. This is natural light. We keep it natural, baby. Apple pie is bullshit. I agree. I like cherry pie. Cherry pie got that little bit of tart to it. Apple pie is just too like straight up sweet. I don't like one note sweet. I like a little bit of sweet with a little bit of tart. Get that cherry pie, son. Ooh. John Doe says the idea of the Constitution, the idea that we are a sovereign nation that has the right to decide what we are. Yeah, I mean, and it all comes down to the individual. I mean, that's what the Constitution does, is empower the individual to have the freedom of speech, to have the right to bear arms, to have the, you know, the right to privacy and not unreasonable search and seizures, and, you know, the right to take part in the democratic process and whatever. And I don't agree with democracy. You know, democracy is a big red herring that the left throws out there all the time. There's nothing inherently valuable about democracy, but the Constitution just reminds us that, you know, the power of the individual and the freedom of the individual should be paramount. So that's what I focus on. It's all about the philosophy applied to the individual. Not sure says, should the Pledge of Allegiance be taken out of public schools? I don't know. I think the kids should be taken out of public schools. How about that? The kids and the teachers should be taken out of public schools. Their talents can best be used elsewhere. All right? Either have private schooling institutions or homeschool. The government should have no place in education. All right? Because they cannot be objective on teaching kids philosophy and reasoning from first principles if they have to justify the existence of the government while they're doing it. Because the government is the number one violator of all the moral principles that we should be adhering to in our own personal lives. We're all taught in kindergarten, don't hit, don't steal. All right? And what does the government do? They steal your money, and if you don't pay up, they're going to send somebody knocking to your door. Well, first they're going to send a bunch of letters, and if you don't answer the letters, well, somebody's going to come knocking. And they're going to say, where's that money? And if you say, I don't give a fuck, they're going to call the police, and the police are going to come over and say, you got to pay that money. And if you're like, I don't want to pay that money. And they're like, well, you got to come with us. And you're like, I don't want to come with you. Well, shit's going to get real dicey. Guns are going to be pulled, and they're going to say, motherfucker, we really need you to come with us. And you're like, I don't want to. And that's what the state fundamentally comes down to. Every law fundamentally comes down to a gun in your face saying, motherfucker, obey me. And public school can never be objective about that fact, because they fundamentally exist off of the fact that you got a gun to your head. Glad to have you back, Vixlob. Bad teachers need to be able to be fired. That's a huge problem. That goes along with every government institution. Every government-run institution has these lazy, sloth-like workers who just don't have to necessarily be that efficient. They don't have to necessarily be that productive. They don't have to face the market, face the free market, and provide value to the free market like people in the private sector do. They don't have to do that. Their standards are dramatically lowered because their institution is being propped up by tax money and is funded by force. And so they don't have to produce this nearly the same amount of efficiency or value to the market. So they can just slide by. Yeah, that's why unions are a problem. Exactly, AJ. You're setting up a little mini governmental system to shield people from criticism and market forces. I don't know what, I've heard the phrase before, but I don't necessarily know what charter schools are. Is that like a private school? What's up, Anonymous Anarchy? Let me log into the PayPal here and see if anybody sent me a little shekel here. Just a reminder, paypal.me/Outrage TV if you want to contribute some shekels to the cause here. Much appreciated. They're like in a gray area between private and public. Oh, so they're like private schools, but they're publicly subsidized? Yeah, that's a little bit weird. I don't know. Just find a good woman who's willing to stay home with your kids and homeschool. That's the solution. It's not offsetting the education of your children. Like, don't have kids if you don't have time to teach them about the world. Why would you have kids if you don't want to have personal time with them, teaching them about the world? Like, you want to have some, underpaid teacher bureaucrat, like, teach them about reality? Like, and you want to have the other fucked up kids in public school influencing them in their social circle? Like, what the fuck are you having kids for? Teach them shit at home. Marry a badass woman that can raise your kids properly. Don't throw them in fucking daycare. Don't throw them in public school. It's a waste of your kids' potential. Yeah, just sign them up to be Scientologists. Maybe they can grow up and star in a movie with old-ass Tom Cruise. You never know, dude. Maybe they could get to that top level. Maybe they could go clear, Maybe they could get in one of these fucking actor unions. Maybe they could hang out and smoke a joint with Danny Masterson. Oh yeah, the amount of socialists in my generation is mind-boggling, TMP. I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming you mean like Generation Z. Yeah. So the amount of like the polls I'm seeing, like the stats, like I see them on Drudge Report sometimes, like the amount of young people that don't believe in free speech and that support socialism is fucking insane. That's an obvious example of the failure of the schooling system. They don't teach them anything about economics or philosophy or ethics. Nothing, because they have a direct incentive not to. The less they know about economics and ethics and philosophy, the better it is for the teachers, because they can just skate on past that shit. They don't have to deal with any of those hard questions. Why are my parents forced to pay for this shit? They don't have to deal with that. You know? Why are we $22 trillion in debt? Why is our money not based on anything tangible? They don't have to deal with any of that. What's up, Kelly Courtney? Says if we don't overhaul the education system real soon, the entropy of knowledge will dwindle down to super duh. We have at least 3 generations conditioned by this BS. I want to have public civics courses. I don't know what you mean by public civics courses, but I agree. All you got to do is cut the federal funding for the education system, and that'll benefit it. That'll benefit it supremely. Get rid of Common Core and cut the federal funding, and that'll fix most of the problems. Then they'll have to respond to market incentives. Let the teachers actually teach what they think. Yeah, fuck the Department of Education. Get rid of that shit. That's a block. That's a blockade to actually educating children. It's the government sticking their nose in and making sure there's enough propaganda. Yeah, get rid of the entire Department of Education. It's totally useless. Any department in the government achieves the opposite of its stated end. So the Department of Education is making sure that children do not get educated. Yes, let John Doe teach his kids how he sees fit. Yeah, fuck Common Core. Get rid of that shit, man. If we're going to have teachers, let them teach what they actually think. And then you might have some actual education being passed down through the generations. Common Core, there you go. That's what it is, dude. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm officially out of booze. It's been a tremendous fucking hang. We're going on 2 hours here. I'll probably, keep a little brevity here. I appreciate all you motherfuckers hanging out. Thank you, Vic Slav, you bad motherfucker. Once again, paypal.me/Outrage TV if you want to contribute. Like it if you like it. Share it out if you want to share it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to let you know when I'm going live. Follow me on Instagram at Nick Jordan himself. On Twitter at I am Nick Jordan. The full audio of the podcast is posted up on all the podcast apps. If you want to listen to it while you're doing your chores and doing your commutes and whatnot. It's under Outrage Cast. Follow it up. I understand John Doe, but I'm a little bit tipsy right now. I don't think I want to have another beer. I might have a hangover and shit. My arguments are tapped for the night. But I'll be back tomorrow night. I usually do this every night, 12 a.m. Pacific time. Coming on here and rocking it out with you bad motherfuckers. I appreciate the hang and the comments and the interaction and whatnot. It's invaluable. But yeah, baby, I appreciate all y'all hanging out. And Outrage TV, baby, Outrage Casts. Follow the Instagram accounts, Outrage Cast on all the podcast apps and whatnot. Until tomorrow, same outrage time, same outrage place, baby. Knowledge of power, you goddamn right, and on anarchy. That's how we do it, baby. All right, I'll catch y'all tomorrow night, probably. Peace.